Today, we're talking about someone who was right at the center of one of the world's most famous brands, one of its most famous families, really. Yet she chose to stay almost completely out of the spotlight. This is the story of Joan Templeman. I mean, just listen to these words from Sir Richard Branson. This is how he announced the passing of his wife of 36 years. It's such a powerful tribute, and it tells you everything you need to know about her profound, yet very quiet influence. Look, we all know Richard Branson, right? The larger-than-life, adventurous founder of Virgin. But this is about the person he called his anchor. So who was Joan Templeman? The woman who stood beside and, let's be honest, often behind, this global icon. To really understand her story, we have to start with the news that brought her very private life into a rare public moment of reflection. Yeah, the family's announcement brought a partnership that lasted nearly 5 decades to a peaceful close, and it made a lot of us stop and think about the essential, though often unseen roles she played in it all. So to get the whole picture, we've got to rewind the clock. Let's go back to the mid-1970s in London, where two completely different worlds were about to collide in a really unexpected way. And when I say different, I mean it. Their worlds could not have been further apart. On one hand, you've got Richard Branson, this up-and-coming entrepreneur already making huge waves with his Virgin recording studio. And then you have Joan Templeman, a totally down-to-earth woman from Scotland, working in a little antique shop. And from what everyone says, she was not impressed by his flamboyant personality at first. Not at all. But you know what? He was persistent. The story goes that he was just so completely taken with her, he kept coming back to the shop, buying whatever he could just for one more chance to talk to her. He was slowly trying to win her over. So their journey kicks off around 1976. But their early years, well, they were marked by more than just romance. They were hit with this profound tragedy. In 1979, their first child, Claire Sarah, was born prematurely and died just 4 days later. It was a loss that would, of course, shape their lives forever. A decade later, in 1989, they finally got married on Necker Island. And this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of who she was. Think about it. She's married to one of the most famous men on the planet, but Joan makes this very deliberate, very conscious choice to build her life almost entirely away from the public eye. She wasn't just private, she was the anchor. I mean, while Richard Branson was out there launching airlines, breaking world records, literally flying to space, Joan was the stabilizing force back home. She was the one who made sure their family stayed grounded amidst this total chaos of global fame. And that family truly became her focus. After the heartbreaking loss of Claire Sarah, they went on to have 2 more children, Holly and Sam. And she just dedicated herself to being a partner, a mother, and eventually a grandmother, creating this incredibly stable core for their family to revolve around. You know, Branson himself said it all the time. He credited her with being his emotional and spiritual anchor. He literally describes her as the one person who gave him the stability he needed to go out and take the massive, world-changing risks that defined his career. But her influence wasn't just personal. It wasn't just behind the scenes. It really extended into the values that defined their entire partnership, especially when it came to giving back. Together, Joan and Richard were signatories of the Giving Pledge. Now, if you're not familiar, this is a massive commitment. We're talking about dedicating the majority of their vast fortune to philanthropic causes, a decision that just speaks volumes about the values they shared. And for Joan, this was also deeply, deeply personal. Stemming directly from that tragic loss of their daughter, she became this incredibly dedicated supporter of charities focused on helping premature babies and improving infant health. She really turned her own family's grief into a powerful force for good in the world. So, when you boil it all down, her legacy is crystal clear. She wasn't just the woman behind the man. No way. She was the foundational partner, the emotional anchor, and truly the quiet force that made everything else possible. And that kind of leaves us with this one big question to think about, doesn't it? In a world that is so obsessed with fame and public recognition, the life of Joan Templeman is this powerful reminder of a totally different kind of influence, one that is quiet, steadfast, and maybe, just maybe, the most essential kind of all.